10 Most Tragic and Brutal Historical Events. Human history is riddled with tales of tragic incidents. Some of these dire events are a painful reminder of the sometimes wretched human condition. The past holds memories of some truly shocking historical events. These events are now etched in history books, but they carry profound sadness. While some of these events reported far fewer casualties, they still significantly impacted their victims. The transatlantic slave trade, 15th to 19th century. Following the desire for European empires to establish themselves as economic powerhouses, they enslaved West African civilians. The slaves were placed in cramped ships and forced to endure deplorable conditions at sea. The ships were cramped, with food rations low and sanitary conditions dismal. Estimates put the number of African slaves who died over the course of the Middle Passage at 60 million. Sadly, the inhumane trade carried on for 4 centuries and was finally abolished in the United States on January 1, 1808. The Witches of Salem, 1692 to 1693. In January 1692, 2 young girls in the village of Salem in colonial Massachusetts began suffering from fits of loud outbursts and violent contortions. A local doctor by the name of William Griggs diagnosed the girls' symptoms as bewitchment. As other girls began showing similar symptoms, mass hysteria broke out, with the girls claiming to be possessed by the devil. Based on the fictitious evidence of the girls, the hearings and trials of men and women inculpated of witchcraft began. Over 200 people stood accused, and by the end of the trials in early 1693, 19 people had been sentenced to death. The colony eventually admitted wrongdoing and compensated the families of those who were convicted. In an effort to uncover the truth, a 1976 scientific study established that the fungus ergot was responsible for toxicity that led to the symptoms the girls experienced. Jack the Ripper, 1888. The late summer of 1888 saw the rise of one of England's most infamous serial killers. Jack the Ripper brought terror to the streets of England, killing and mutilating the bodies of at least 5 women. He would disembowel his victims, removing organs such as uteruses and kidneys. The mutilations he carried on the bodies after brutally stabbing his victims displayed a deep hatred for women. Several theories have been put forward as to why Jack the Ripper stopped killing, with some arguing that heightened police vigilance put him off, while others suggest he might have been locked up for a different crime, or he died. Maybe time will unveil why the world's most infamous serial killer vanished without a trace. Sinking of the RMS Titanic, 1912. On her maiden voyage on the night of April 12, 1912, the grandest luxury liner of its time sank in the Atlantic Ocean after colliding with an iceberg. The Titanic was not your ordinary cruise ship. Boasting an incredible length of 882 feet and a maximum capacity of 3,547 passengers, this was the ship of dreams. The ship was famously lauded as unsinkable, but sadly met its demise barely a third into its journey from Newfoundland, England to New York. On that fateful night, approximately 1,500 of the 2,224 passengers on board perished in the icy waters of the Atlantic. Today, the remains of the RMS Titanic lie at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, along with the dream of a maiden voyage that never saw shore again. World War I, 1914 to 1918, and World War II, 1939 to 1945. World War I, also referred to as the Great War, broke out in the center of Europe following the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. The 2 antagonistic sides were the Allied powers, Britain, France, and Russia, and the Central Powers, Germany, Austria-Hungary, Bulgaria, and the Ottoman Empire. The war lasted 4 years from 1914 to 1918 and resulted in 16 million deaths of civilians and combatants. 21 years later, in 1939, World War II broke out after the invasion of Poland by German forces. The Second World War lasted for 6 years, with at least 70 million people losing their lives. Both wars caused massive financial and psychological devastation to the countries involved. Pearl Harbor, 1941. On December 7, 1941, the Japanese sprung a surprise aerial attack on the United States naval base in Hawaii. Thanks to worsening relations over the past 10 years, the USA cut all economic ties with Japan. The USA then started providing financial support and materials to China, which was Japan's adversary. Following the attack, 2,335 military personnel lost their lives, and the USA declared war on Japan the following day, leading to World War II. The Holocaust, 1941 to 1945. Perhaps one of the world's most known acts of barbarity, the Holocaust saw the detaining and killing of over 6 million Jews. Assuming Jews as weaker individuals, the Nazis' aim was to stop the Jews from procreating. The Nazis carried out mandatory sterilization and segregated anyone they saw as genetically diseased. The Jews suffered about 400,000 forced sterilizations and 275,000 euthanasia deaths in what remains one of the darkest times in recent history. Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings, 1945. On Monday, August 6, 1945, the USA deployed the world's first atomic bomb on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. The bomb killed approximately 80,000 people, representing 90% of the city's population. 3 days later, another bomb fell on the city of Nagasaki, killing about 40,000 people. That event remains the only time an atomic bomb was deployed in times of war. Japanese nationals still honor that brutal period each year, with survivors helping drive the movement against nuclear weapons. That's it for today's video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.